Back to the left's perspective on free speech. Really an incredible front page story, A1 in the New York Times, why free speech should no longer apply. According to Catherine McKinnon, a law professor at the University of Michigan, free speech reinforces and amplifies injustice. Free speech makes the world worse. Quote, once a defense of the powerless, the First Amendment over the last 100 years has mainly become a weapon of the powerful. It's not a weapon at all. It says the government can't impose on you. This is the difference between how the left sees rights and how the right sees rights. The right sees rights as things the government cannot touch, inalienable rights that pre-existed government. The left sees rights as things the government gives to you. And therefore, if it's bad for you, the government can take it away from you. So if free speech is bad for you, the government can take it away. The right says, no, you can't do that. The right says that right pre-existed government. I didn't give up that right to government when government was formed. The government exists to protect those rights. The left says, no, 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 you didn't have any rights. Then the government gave you the right to free speech. So if it's bad for the community, well then, the idea here is that we can take it away from you using the power of government. McKinnon says, legally, what was, toward the beginning of the 20th century, a shield for radicals, artists, activists, socialists, and pacifists, the excluded and the dispossessed, has become a sword for authoritarians, racists and misogynists, Nazis and Klansmen, pornographers, and corporations buying elections. In other words, get rid of free speech because the people I don't like are using it. And then there's a long discussion of Robert Bork and the sort of development of free speech litigation and free speech trends. And they say the right turn has been pronounced under Chief Justice Roberts. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear a larger share of First Amendment cases concerning conservative speech than earlier courts had, according to a study prepared for the Times. It has ruled in favor of conservative speech at a higher rate than liberal speech as compared to earlier courts. The court's docket reflects something new and distinctive about the Roberts courts, according to the study. The Roberts court, more than any modern court, has trained its sight on speech protecting conservative values. Only the current court has resolved a higher fraction of disputes challenging the suppression of conservative rather than liberal expression. Well, the reason for that is because there's very little suppression of liberal expression in today's America. You can say whatever you want. Those cases were already decided. The real crackdowns that are happening right now are crackdowns from the left on the right with regard to First Amendment issues. But the left says that we should crack down on the First Amendment. The radicalization of the left is an ongoing story that really is absurd. And in just a second, I want to discuss that ongoing radicalization. First, I want to talk a little bit about the media. So the media, the same media who are saying that the First Amendment should be quashed for everybody they don't like, see themselves as First Amendment warriors. So Jim Acosta over at CNN, who loves him some Jim Acosta. I mean, that dude loves Jim Acosta. Get you somebody who loves you the way Jim Acosta loves Jim Acosta. I mean, really. He's the White House reporter for CNN. And over the weekend, right before the weekend, he decided it would be a worthwhile thing to shout at President Trump. So he's standing in the back of the room shouting at President Trump. And then he posted video of himself shouting at President Trump as though Trump has some sort of obvious obligation to answer Jim Acosta shouting from the back of a room. Now, do I care that Jim Acosta shouts at President Trump? No, I didn't care when a writer at the Daily Caller, Neil Monroe, shouted at President Obama. So it'd be rather hypocritical of me to care that Jim Acosta is shouting at Trump. But it just goes to show you how when it was a right-winger like Neil Monroe, then it was the end of the world that he shouted a question to Barack Obama. Jim Acosta does it, and he's a hero. So Jim Acosta shouts at President Trump. He's shouting at him because there was a shooting in a newsroom last week, and the media tried to pin it on President Trump when it had nothing to do with President Trump. Jim Acosta shouting at the president.
Mr. President, will you stop calling us the enemy of the people, sir? Will you stop calling the press the enemy of the people, sir? Mr. President, will you stop calling the press the enemy of the people,
I like
sir?
the guy turning around and shushing him. So there's a guy right in front of him turning around and shushing him. And then Jim Acosta gives a look to the camera like, I am so brave for saying that. Look at these brave eyes. Ooh, so brave. Okay, so Fox News says, well, that was kind of inappropriate. Well, all right, I don't really care about the inappropriate of it. It doesn't make a huge difference to me. But the part of it that's hilarious is that Jim Acosta then suggests that Fox News is a threat to free speech, basically. Jim Acosta goes on Reliable Sources with Brian Stelter, a show I've appeared on, and Brian has him on for basically the entire hour. I think he had him on for this long segment, which is an empty hour. I mean, Jim Acosta, not a lot going on upstairs with Jim Acosta. And this is really, really funny. So first he starts off by saying, Fox News is only angry at me because they need someone to attack. Well, no. I'm not really angry at you as much as bemused by you, Jim Acosta. I'm not angry at Jim Acosta because I don't think he's worthy of my anger. But I am bemused by the fact that Jim Acosta thinks he's such an important human. And I love that CNN now does the navel-gazing routine where Jim Acosta is a hero for having shouted out a question and being shushed by a bald guy in front of him at the White House. So here's Brian Stelter questioning him.
The president, Fox News, they don't have Barack Obama around anymore. They don't have Hillary Clinton, although the president goes after Hillary Clinton a lot, so does Fox News. And so we've sort of replaced Obama and Hillary, they need somebody to attack, and I think that we've sort of filled that role.
Okay, so yeah, that must be it. It must be that they're attacking you because they don't have Obama to kick around anymore. Or maybe they're attacking you, Jim Acosta, because you're a highly irritating human. And to show how irritating you are, this is the best thing ever. So Acosta's on with Stelter, and he's asked about shouting at the president. Listen to the amount of just drooling self-aggrandizement in which Jim Acosta engages. It's so phenomenal. Here we go.
Now, of course, they're not going to take our questions. We have to find opportunities to ask those questions, and that means
kind of like Sam Donaldson did decades ago.
That's right. And listen, if they want to send me to hell, I'll still be shouting at the devil.
What? What now? If you want to send me to hell, I'll be shouting. Look how brave I am. So brave. Send me to hell. I'll shout at the devil. And then the devil will fart on you. Like, what is that? What does that even mean? Send me to hell and I'll shout at the devil? Yes, I'm so brave and I am so tough. We are so much journalisming. Wow. Bravery. Ooh. Now, the big question is why Jim Acosta wasn't shouting at the devil when it was the devil he liked, right? Why wasn't he shouting at Barack Obama when it was somebody that he liked? And the answer is that Jim Acosta wasn't shouting at him because he was busy asking him kiss-ass questions. And the media, the same media who say the First Amendment should be curbed, right? The New York Times saying the First Amendment should be curbed for you, the commenter, the little person. It should be expanded for the press to the extent that we have to force Donald Trump to answer every question Jim Acosta might have, because Jim Acosta is a brave man who shouts at the devil in hell. You drag me down to Hades. You put me on that boat. You send me across the river Styx. I'll face down the devil, stare him in his beady little eyes, and then we will have a face-to-face conversation, me and Mr. Scratch, Jim Acosta. But when it comes to the common person, then of course, if you're a religious baker, then we have to force you to do what we want. Or if you are a person who wants to give money in an election cycle, we have to force you to do it. If you're not a member of a union, we have to force you to pay money to a union. The double standard for people in the press who believe free speech should apply to them, but should apply to nobody else, is pretty astonishing. Now,